Hello, everyone. Welcome to March's energy
Update.
intuitive update. I am Alex.
I am Mariela.
Yeah, and we didn't do any recordings in February, but it's been because it's been one heck of a time. And so
Yeah.
to even find time where we're able to navigate coming together was hard. Mariela's super busy. I've been super busy. And we just, and you agree, Mariella, the last couple weeks were a bit more like,
Yeah, I was telling Alex it feels suspicious. But I was talking to my mom today in the morning and I was telling her this and she's like, hasn't been so calm for me. But of course she's an Aries and we'll talk about that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess, Mariella, how have things been for you? So I know we had January, so I feel like we've lived a lifetime since we talked with everybody
Yes.
last. There was so much energy that was going on we had the Mars retrograde. So the Mars retrograde started in December and it wrapped up last week.
And we can feel the energy change.
Exactly. So once that started to go down, it was like, thank God. We experienced a lot of big conflicts throughout that time. And there's been lots of opportunities for amazing reflection for me. We'll all experience it in different life areas, but it was huge. And so now to have this what feels like a pause. But even as I look at my schedule over the next month, I'm just like, it's so busy. I have so much going on. So I'm like, all right, round two. But it's going to be round two, but in like a different energy, right? Because it was Mars retrograde, right? And now was it Mars retrograde in Aries? I think it was like the double whammy. And then now it's Venus retrograde. And it's like, okay. So the two kind of very relational, emotional, but different types of emotion. Um, anyway, just recognizing the retrogrades. So I'm excited and nervous.
Yeah.
How has kind of things been for you?
I feel like there has been a lot of things being changed, moved, a lot of unknowns in the past months, or standstills, or looking at changing things in a different way at work, for example, with school, um, looking at all the types of ways to do therapy. I find that we are stuck in a way, and my energy in my mind is wanting to rebel a little bit and just do it some other way.
Mm,
It's interesting. And one of my teacher right now, he challenged us to actually be authentic. And
mm,
I'm in my head trying to do my best from the perspective of doing it how I'm told to be doing it. But at the same time, it's like I'm free to do whatever I want,
mm,
kind of. I feel that's the energy. Like
mhm,
for everything, we are reconsidering things.
mhm.
And I am very excited to see what comes up later. Because we have no idea what is going to be for us everywhere. Mm, what in the next year? I don't know. Everything's changing so fast, everything at a different pace.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know where exactly everybody's tuning in the world, but I know, like here in North America or in the Americas, we probably are all feeling a level of anxiety or whatever due to what's going on in the States, because the amount of energy and power and influence, and the instability of them creates instability really around the world. And it's like shaking things up. And it's kind of
Yeah.
scary. And we're constantly on our toes. And this aspect of needing to trust, I feel, is I don't mean like trusting the government's going to save us by any means, but um, trusting ourselves and
Maybe. You
trusting.
know, we are all one, right? We tend to
Mm,
have doubts about whatever people, politicians are doing or in general. And then it's all, I think there is like an orchestra behind it.
mm,
Not an orchestra, the director of the orchestra.
yeah, 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 that's true. I heard someone say, I remember you were telling me that there's going to be some things happening, kind of like truths that we'll find out, but we won't really know, and it will feel confusing and unsure. And I saw this video. Now, I just take things in and just let them sit there, and then I observe. But this one person was talking about how, and now I don't see them, but I do believe, like all of us have guides and angels and supports around us. That would include Trump as well. And this person was talking about how he was noticing some type of angel supporting him during one of his speeches.
Mm,
And I was like,
how?
I'm like, I don't like that I'm hearing this because this guy, he doesn't even like Trump and has like, tries to
He's not a supporter.
no. And so the fact that he saw that, he was like, interesting. What don't I know? Because there could be many things I don't know. And that's the truth. There are so many things we don't know. So then we have to decide, well, what does it feel like when we have all the right information, which means all the information, It's like, does it resonate with our heart? Does it connect? I don't know. Anyway, so that made me think of that end of the month thing. I'm like, oh, so
Yeah, it almost seems like it doesn't really matter what's going out in the world. First, not a lot of control in many things. We can only, like what Pam Gregory was saying, stay still and just do what you need to do. But don't jump into things
mhm,
without staying still. And for the system to crash, somebody has to do something that will initiate it. And as scary and hurtful it can be, like for example, I was really sad that they ended the USID, like
mhm,
all the funds for all projects that are helping people out in the world.
mhm,
Um, Things like that, or cutting benefits with Medicaid, Medicare, and people struggling with medication for diabetes, for example, going from $6 for 10 days to $80 or $60, and
mhm,
people trying to figure things out. It puts us in our limits, but then I think people are going to start actually figuring out what to do
mhm.
instead,
Yeah. Mhm.
which I don't know what can that be. I can't see it right now, and I think people don't see it and people are suffering, but I know that we can do something.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna have to live outside the system to be able to live, is what it feels like what you just
And
described, right? Like if I can't get my diabetes medicine, then it's like, okay, depending on what type of diabetes, because I mean, type 1, you have to have it to live. Type 2 um, is a little different, but just the changes that have to happen and how people have to come together differently and support each other differently and
it can be very hard.
Mhm.
But also we have this new energy that's coming in.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't want to underestimate also like the suffering that people will have to go through.
Mhm.
But also I am excited for a better future because we Alex and I have been talking of how the systems don't work. Some systems don't work, and
Mhm.
something has to happen to make them better.
Mhm.
So yeah, I and we had just an initial card before we started this video of a person flying like with the word trust. I think that's the most we can do.
Yeah.
Just trust the universe. It's going to be fine.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. And so, because when we look at the astrology, it gives us a lot of really interesting information that we're moving out of, like everything is at the very end of, not everything, but a lot of things. A lot of big moving planets are at the very end of the Pisces. So, for those who don't know, the Pisces is the very last sign in the zodiac. And then it starts over at number one, which is Aries. And so the very end is kind of um, like the unseen, the unknown. There's layers of death because it is that in between phase before birth happens. And so we're literally moving out of this very Piscean energy and starting to move into this Aries based energy. And so kind of endings and beginnings. And there's going to be like really fast forward motion taking place over this year. So although there's a lot of like uncertainty and confusion, which will continue to bubble up, especially this month, there's going to be so much like initiatory energy and deeper like yeses and nos within who we are as well. But Mariella, do you want to tell us about what transits are happening?
Of course. Just starting to open my cards for later. But so the beginning, probably already heard that at the beginning of this month, um, Venus turned retrograde in Aries. And that is today for us, right?
Mhm.
And tomorrow, well, Mercury enters Aries. And on the 14th for us, we will have the lunar eclipse, full moon in Virgo. Um, and so in this, how do you call it? Match of um planets. um, it talks a lot about mm, critic critics and criticisms and being just nice with our inner critic
Mm.
during this time. Um, we're not perfect. And so we have to keep that in mind for that full moon. Then March 15th, Mercury retrograde in Aries. Um, then March 20th, Sun enters Aries, is the spring equinox, is the astrological new year. And then at the end of the month, on the 28th, Venus retrograde enters Pisces. On the on the 30th is the solar eclipse in with the new moon in Aries. And we end the month with Neptune entering Aries and slow moving Neptune visiting Aries and setting the tone, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you even hear just even on some of those planets, like Mars was retrograde in Aries, Venus is like now it's stationing direct. Like it's, oh no, it was through Leo and Cancer is where Mars was. My apologies. But now we have Venus in Aries going retrograde, and we have Mercury and all these planets going into Aries, which is going into the beginning. And when they retrograde, sometimes they go backwards. So what happens is when a planet retrogrades, so it might be retrograding, say, in Aries, and then as it kind of retrogrades, it kind of looks like it's going backwards into the sign previously. So it'd go back into Pisces. And then it has to move forward again. And when it starts moving forward again, it goes through Aries again. So there's a lot of this like back and forth energy that retrogrades bring. And especially for this year, as we're moving through retrogrades that move us forward and backward, with everybody moving into Aries, it means there's still this opportunity to slide backwards and forwards as we continue to really grip into the new beginnings. But um, yeah, I love what's coming.
It seems like March is going to be eventful. It would be one thing after the other, and we have to remember that conjunctions, energies are not happening only on the day it happens, but like 2 days before, 2 days after, sometimes some months before, some months after.
Mhm.
So we are already feeling the energy, but we're just like in this
Mhm.
special moment
Yeah.
when changes have to happen.
Hmm. Yeah. And this week on Thursday, we just had the Pisces new moon. And they call that like the portal into eclipse season because it's the final sign. So it's kind of wrapping up this astrological year. And so we've kind of portaled into it, and everything was like there was so many alignments that were super powerful that are that were actually really positive, allowing us to align to parts of ourselves. And I feel like that's one thing with this energy that comes up is, and we've kind of been talking about it. There's a lot of these tensions and things we should be aware of, especially um, like you mentioned, the idea of pausing and stopping and um, whether it's to get clear in ourselves or whether it's to not engage in reactive situations. But as we're moving through this kind of foggy time, my brain has gotten foggy, and I'm like, what was I talking about?
That means that you're in the right train
Pardon?
of thought. That means that you're in the right train of thought. You're connecting.
It's fascinating how my brain tends to do this piece lately. It's like, okay. Um, but we're having such an amazing time where we can see everything going on outside of ourselves. And the stuff that I find most interesting is the reality that, like, yeah, we're like, and I don't know if we talked about it, but with all the planes crashing, that was something that astrologers were talking about, like air travel being an issue, um, and things like that, and potentially stuff going up on our satellites and space stations, those kinds of things. Um, but the talk of like, potential like natural disaster thingies continuing to rise. So we had the fires and everything taking place.
And changes in the sun as well with the solar flares.
Yeah, and those coming back around and coming back in and changing kind of the light energy that's literally emitting into us, into our frequency. And so we can look at all this chaotic change or uncertainty outside of us. We can see good things too. I think that's harder to see, but we need to see it all within ourselves. And so that's a piece that I always find most interesting is what's going on inside. Uh,
Yeah, and we have to remember we were wishing for this. In order for us to be able to change inside, we have to look at what we have to change. And we wanted to know, we
mhm.
wanted to see so that we can do things differently. I am so excited. For like on the one hand, things are going to be right in front of me, and I will be able to just know that they were there and hopefully just throw them through the window and forget about it. Like, thank you. You have been inside of me. I don't need you anymore.
Mhm.
Bye.
Yeah. I was listening to Lee Harris, and he was talking about things like that too, that we're going to this month is a month where we're going to experience a lot of opportunities to heal. And that can mean many different things for each of us, depending what's going on. It could be healing beliefs, old wounds. It could be healing, like whether it's our like physical body, things like that. But old things from the past are going to be up and current, kind of very Chiron-y energy. And that it will be like there'll be a lot of like everything's going to be moving like quick shift, quick shift, quick shift, which can feel really disorienting. And so really, again, taking care of ourselves, like not just having a warm bubble bath, but taking those times, like multiple times a week to really center and like, okay, I'm okay. Like look around your room. You're okay. We're okay. We're okay.
Yeah.
Tune in, feel that
Count
kind
the flowers.
of, yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of internal pieces that are changing as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
so it's very interesting. I think when I am looking at Donald Trump, for example, that is like one big symbol I have for myself, and always like look at whatever's happening and go like, what piece of me is there and what am I changing? Am I part of the direction of the orchestra? Like
mm,
being one, and I don't know, with everything that's happening between countries, people have been all agreeing on something. Was that the truth? Was that the actual best thing to do? And so now that he's just closing all these doors, people are like, what? But then I don't know. People are going to reconsider, and I heard there's that option of like, the states getting their own ideologies and starting to do their own thing. I know here in Canada, Alberta does its own thing. Not very comfortable, but yeah, I feel like I don't have the control to change anything, but I send the vibes. I send the good intentions. It's going to be all for the best of my highest good.
the highest good for all.
Yeah.
Um, I always
Yeah,
think.
because we are all one.
Hmm.
Mine is yours. Yours is mine.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. Looking at the screen, it's like when I think of, I'm like, we really did sign up to come here at a really interesting time. You know,
Yes.
like, we literally did. Because I feel like, I don't know how you would describe your life before these times, but when I think of, as I've been seeing things unfold and like the chaos of the structures collapsing in some ways, I'm like, I'm like laughing. I'm like, oh my God. I chose this particular life to experience a lot of pain and see and witness a lot of hard things in my life and the life of many people around me and the people I work with. And see the system as the piece that is hurting people. And now I get to watch it change. So that's something better because
And
I've,
that's what we wanted. We
yeah,
have talked
because
about
I've
it many
never
times.
felt, yeah, I've never felt like I fully fit into this world. It's like, wow, like no one seems to think the way I think or, um, you know, want what I want. Like, why is everybody so stuck in the way this world is? It doesn't work. And so then finally to see everybody starting to see like this doesn't work, and you're like, I know.
I have been telling you this.
Let's do something different. Let's change it. And
Yeah, on the other hand, I felt like I was special before, not so anymore because people are on my side more.
Yeah, that's true. There's some truth in that, but I'm glad. I'd rather have more people on my side. Uh,
Yeah, and we need more people in order to change things. So I wouldn't be able to do it just by myself or with a few others
mhm.
just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just to kind of wrap up some of that astrology stuff, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know with Venus retrograde, just FYI, everyone, big relationship reviews, which can be wonderful and can be really challenging. And the fact that it's within Aries is going to, there might be that sense of identity or that sense of self. I always think of that piece when I think of Aries energy. Um, but that Aries energy can also have a lot of tension within it. So know that you could be experiencing some of that within relationships. And that doesn't mean intimate partnerships, just anywhere where there's a close bond. And Mercury goes retrograde. So you might be having those conflicts with people, and then the communication where it's going to get extra challenging. Um, and again, when things fall within Aries, there's that self piece. And I think you spoke to it, Mariella, because some of that can be internal. So maybe it's with relationship part in parts to ourself, in relationship and how we are connecting. So we might have our own inner critic or have tensions within ourselves, which we then project onto the relationships around us. But there's going to be some endings and potential strengthening, like some endings and some potential growth from
Mm.
these pieces. So I know that's a strong thing. And then the Virgo Pisces axis for the first eclipse season is so Pisces is all about that spiritual consciousness piece. So they actually say within the next year and a half, we'll be more connected to something. Because I know there's many people who don't believe in spirituality or anything like that, and maybe this isn't, you know, the path for them. But there's going to be aspects of way more people are going to, and when I say awaken, I don't mean like, awaken. I mean like,
Enlightened.
yeah, thank you. But like awakened to possibility or awakened to
Mm-hmm.
consciousness in a new way. So this Piscean energy, I believe it's the North Node is in Pisces, right?
So
And that's a good thing. So we're going to experience lots of things within that.
I
So
think the South Node is in Virgo right now, right?
yes, and so that's that perfectionist tendency, that master kind of energy, needing to find balance within the body, mind, and spirit, to have a sense of wholeness. So Virgo is also a very spiritual, because Virgo is like the virgin, right? And the virgin is considered like a priestess. And so it's also another really, so it's a very spiritual axis that we're on. And so the fact that we're moving through beginning, it's so they call it the fated nodes. So like these are times of great clearing and great clarity when we have eclipses, because it's like the great endings and beginnings, things that are being washed out of these areas of our life so that the right things can be there in highest alignment. So our consciousness and our awareness is going to be shifting a lot, but it's not going to always feel so comfortable. We're going to have to hit some hard truths, probably.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Just one more thing before we move to the next thing.
Oh.
Um, just to keep in mind, in the middle of the month, that's when Mercury is retrograde in Aries, and that's when we may get these heated sensation that we need to have a tantrum and destroy everything that is in front of us. So just remember to take deep breaths. And that happens on March 15th. So starting March 13th, start meditating, grounding, just getting ready for that energy, and then it will be a breeze.
I feel like I need to set that in my clock because during that Mars retrograde, I almost quit my job a couple times. And now I'm just honestly trying to figure out what is next for me. And if I keep having these big moments, I will just quit. And I'm just like, no, no. I just need a little bit more time. Or I think,
Yeah. Yeah, we have to keep in mind also that wherever we are, changes are going to happen.
Mhm.
So, and everything's for the best. So it's okay. We're just going to have these energies that will be crumbling things in and outside of us, but wherever you go, that's going to be the thing.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, escaping, running away, hiding, we might think might keep us safe, but it will not.
No, our baggage goes with us.
Yeah. Wherever you are, there you are.
Yes,
Well, I don't have any cards today, just
but
where
I
I'm
do.
located. But me and Mariella talked about what decks to use today, and so Mariella has pulled some cards for us.
Yeah, we are using the Sacred Destiny Oracle from Denise Lynn,
Mm.
and we're using the Tea Leaves Fortune cards from Ray Hepburn, and we're using the Osho cards that we really like. And I think this is one of the favorite decks for many people besides the Light Year's Tarot,
Mm, mhm.
but we're not using those today. So we have three piles of cards. We decided that we would do one for the beginning of the month. Should we do one for the middle and one for the end, or lunar eclipse or solar eclipse? What do you think?
Ooh. Hmm. Well, I would feel like one for the beginning, one for the end, one for the solar and lunar, and one for uh,
You won 5 piles.
Well, I'm gonna go with
Feel that?
whatever you're called. I love your intuitive nature with your cards.
Okay, let's see. So we will do one for the beginning, one for the lunar eclipse, one for the solar eclipse. And I think, is the lunar eclipse the same as the New Year's?
No, it's a week. They're a week apart.
Okay, so that's the other thing. I think we need to do the Sun enters Aries on the 21st spring equinox because that's the beginning of the astrological year. And so that will give us a sense of what's happening next.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we will add one more pile. And so we're going to start with the beginning of the month, which started with Venus becoming retrograde in Aries. And that just happens today.
Hmm.
So the Oracle card is Simplicity, and it shows us like the light feather falling from the sky. It
Hmm.
has the light blue colors and the white. And so it just feels that Piscean
Hmm. Hmm.
feeling of like spirituality,
Hmm.
heaven, angels. So um then there's the sun. the source,
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
which has also that feeling to me of the creator,
Yeah, exactly.
the connection with our spiritual selves. Then we have celebration
Oh, so this is
and
the
the
beginning of the month.
spring.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so that's the Three of Cups. Oh, the source and the simplicity. That's beautiful. So this is the beginning of the month, is that correct? Or is this March or
That's
just
the beginning of the month.
beginning of the month?
And the tea leaves for the beginning of the month were Target, Eye, and Broken Bridge. And so those ones said unsuccessful outcome to a problem, a goal-oriented person, and psychic ability to trust your intuition.
Hmm. But the broken bridge is interesting.
I know it feels like broken communication.
Mm-hmm.
It
But
symbolically I feel like what happened with Zelensky and Trump. But that is just a symbol. So something like that happened or is
mm-hmm.
happening.
Right, like some of that division. Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and there's an eye that is looking to a target.
I know those two really go together. And so are we targeting this broken piece? Like is
Ah,
target like, I'm thinking like,
hmm.
okay, are we looking where that disconnection might be or that brokenness? Is
Yeah,
that
and it's right in the middle, right
mm-hmm.
on the dot.
Mm-hmm.
So probably what it's saying is that we're going to start seeing what we have to see that is broken.
Mariella, on point.
Do
Oh,
you think that's
man.
it? And
I
then
do.
with the universe holding our hand.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the sun and the flares
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that high energy that is going everywhere.
Well, I feel like you know how right now we were talking about this kind of, well, for myself anyway, it's been a bit more calm right now. I feel like we're coming out of this
Yeah.
in new moon and we're kind of entering back into a bit more active. I mean, I know it doesn't end and I know it's different for all of us because it shows up differently in each of our life spheres, but this feels like we're starting at this place of we're good. Like a piece, an area of power of, and when I see the celebration, like we've been getting more rain than snow. It's been so nice. We're
Because
all
you
celebrating.
had the storm, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Um, but when I think of that simplicity, it's just when we're removing all of the chaos, right?
Hmm.
And so when we go beyond the external world, and we look and we have this time of softness, which is like powerful on the internal world. I'm like, that feels really aligned right now for this moment, these moments starting March.
Yeah. So that's our message for the beginning of March. Then we have one for what is next? The lunar eclipse. Oh, you're not going to believe it.
Okay.
Okay, so first we start with the standstill.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Okay. Mhm.
And so just remember the lunar eclipse, it's full moon in Virgo, and it's about our inner critic feeling clear, making peace with your battles and with what can change, and not being perfect ever. But just it's just the way it is. So we were talking about staying still, and then we have friendliness
Hmm.
and trust.
Oh, it came.
Yeah, it came up because when we saw it with Alex before, it was in the book.
Yeah, she just kind of like opened up a page and
Yeah.
okay. So I'm seeing like obviously there's going to be some potential intensity within ourselves. Like, you when you're talking about like, and so just stand still, bear witness to it all, not necessarily take action, recognize this is something that's going to pass and move through. Like Lee Harris, something to move through and be healed.
Mhm.
Then when I saw the friendliness, I'm like, oh, they're friends. And there's also a level of like duality because they're different.
Yeah.
So when I think of like the anything where there's two, there can be duality.
Mhm.
Um, and so um, I think of like the Venus. And so if we have this capacity to be in stillness, that we can find more of that um, like connection and trust. Because when we're not still and we're being reactive, that's when we're going to say the thing or do the thing. But allowing there to be trust through this process as we move through this eclipse cycle, because it'll be our first one, right? So we're going to get a flavor. Usually we start with a flavor of it and then it gets more intense with every eclipse season. So this will be the first oomph that we're going to get. So trusting this process. Okay.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
then so I don't know if you noticed, but the leaves of the trees are falling,
Mm-hmm.
the same as the person falling. And
Mm-hmm.
um I feel like uh if I was the person falling, it's almost like it is very exciting if you have like the pressure, right? You just go and you know that you're going to be held somehow. And I was thinking of like also if I wasn't on top of a play structure and I just jump down, that feels very fun. And there's pink in
Mm-hmm.
like the pink in the cards, which reminds me of Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And the tea leaves for these lunar eclipse are older man, dealings with our relationship with an older man, gong, an exciting event,
Mm-hmm.
and teardrops. Great personal sorrow.
Oh dear, another eye. Okay.
But this one's crying.
Yeah, so it seems like there's going to be some insight clearly. Like the last one had the eye, right? And we're looking at a target. The interesting aspect of this older man. And I know that this gong is celebration, but part of me is like, oh my God, there's going to be an older man dying and there'll be a celebration of life. I'm
No,
like, no,
you know that the
what does this
Pope is
mean?
really sick.
Pardon?
The Pope is really sick, and
Oh.
people are praying everywhere
Mm,
for his healing. I that might be something also like that would be important for our religious group of people.
mm,
Um, an important event. I think we will have to wait and see.
mm-hmm,
And crying, that is a way to move emotions and let things go, the same as falling down.
mm-hmm,
So we will see.
mm-hmm.
And then for the solar eclipse, no, the equinox on the 21st, we have miracles.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. We have courage,
Mm.
guidance, and stress.
Oh.
And so to remember, that's the beginning of the astrological year. will be the beginning of the next
And sorry, was there another card you pulled?
the miracles one.
Miracles. Okay. Are you able to pull the miracles? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then this last one is stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Juggling many things. You, there's a proverb. It's like you can't, um, you can't catch a rabbit if you're chasing, like if you're chasing five rabbits, you can't catch one, you know?
Oh, we
Like,
have a saying in Spanish like many birds in your hands is having none of them.
mm,
One is like for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So when I see him um, juggling many things, and it's like for sure something is going to struggle. But um, when I saw this miracles card, I instantly thought of like this is like this beautiful in between, like in the liminal space or the space in between beginnings and endings or the space.
Ah,
There is that's like this time where there's confusion and it's foggy or uncertain, just as things begin because things end. So that's like called a liminal space. And so like miracles happen there. We don't see them always. Like
mhm.
they're usually unseen, or maybe they can be seen.
No, it's like the angel around us doing something that we have no idea it's been done.
Hmm.
And the miracles card with the courage card, how some plants can grow
Hmm.
from rocks.
Yeah. From even the hard things, beauty can grow, right?
Yeah. And with the miracles, I think of the Course in Miracles,
Hmm.
and thinking, everything's an illusion. We can control more than what we think,
Hmm.
just with how we perceive things and how we think about things and raising our frequency.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think we feel this way.
Hmm.
We have too many things going on.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the tea leaves for the equinox are tortoise, slowly but surely getting ahead.
Hmm.
So it might feel like we're like slowly going somewhere. Dog, close up, pleasure with a close friend.
Hmm.
And then something connected to July. You said something about July.
Hmm. There's just supposed to be big things taking place in June, July, and a lot of people reference March as like March is going to have some big things, and then we're going to have a few more big things in June, July.
Yeah, so something's connected to July.
Hmm.
Then that's the end, right? The solar eclipse on the 30th. So we are navigating like significant changes. It's like big, it's for everyone. It's like for the next generations. We will remember this time forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
So,
This is literally like it's like a big ending energy, but a big beginning energy. It's like huge.
yeah, we are part of this part of history. When
Yes,
we
we
come
are.
back, we can say, I was there.
Mhm. You were there?
Okay, so for the solar eclipse, we will have a lot of major breakthroughs, and it's the new chapter of our lives. So we have diligence,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
and we're flying really high.
mm,
politics,
No.
and mind. What does
Um,
this mean? There will be a lot of shakeups.
yeah, so when I see the diligence card, um, and the level of perspective to stand far away, um,
Uh,
is really important to be able to not get caught up in the shit.
yeah, that's right. Staying above
Mhm,
from whatever is happening. And
mhm,
that's actually the energy at that point. Like, don't think that everything you see is real.
mhm,
We are actually seeing more truths. That doesn't mean that everything is true.
mhm. Yeah, so a lot of astrologers are talking about the end of the month as this like cataclysmic. We haven't seen these in many, many years. We don't even fully know what some of the alignments coming up actually can produce in terms of astrology is like an observational science where you look back at all the patterns and line things up and you see things in the sky when things happen, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that there are things coming up that we actually don't fully know what it will look like. But but yeah, so these pieces of we actually don't know. We have to recognize that sometimes we literally don't know what's
No,
true.
and I would invite everyone to think of our own masks. Like, we are not all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am not Mariela. There's many perceptions of ourselves that are not right,
Mm.
especially the non-loving ones, I think.
Mhm. Well, and I think we still don't understand we're more than we think we are. Like, I don't think we can embrace that power until we realize and really understand some of our darkest parts,
Mm-hmm.
understand some of the duality that we're facing, like so within, so without. And once we really truly start seeing that, like, how can we villainize those painful parts that we see outside of ourselves?
Yeah.
Um,
And it almost looks like at that point we're starting to see what we have what we have planted. 'Cause
mhm.
down there is something's growing.
Yeah.
So we might be able to see a little bit more then
Mm.
if we take the mask down and don't we're not in our head so much.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
back to staying still.
Yeah. Not letting our mind control.
Okay.
Walk.
So the tea leaves for the end of the month. Someone's leaving our life. Empty chair. Oh,
No,
older
Marielle.
woman.
No, what? Okay.
Who's that?
Huh? I don't know.
And then
Hey. What's fascinating is we just had the masculine and now we have the feminine.
mhm.
Hmm.
So a piece of our female side is leaving space for other things to come.
Hmm. Is there going to be an older woman stepping forward though? Hmm.
I
I'm
don't
curious.
know.
I'm seeing like the way I'm looking at it when I see the cards in your hands,
Hmm.
I'm seeing them and I'm like, oh, there's an empty chair. I'm like, oh, is the older woman going to fill that empty chair? Is this going to happen in May?
Yeah, that might be it.
So like I'm obviously just looking at the larger words because I can't see the smaller
Yeah,
words, but
yeah.
when I see that piece, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting but regardless, I would love to because there's the conversation of this masculine aspect that is unhealthy that lives within every single one of us, that part is needing to crumble so a healthier feminine can emerge. And I'm not saying that's what this is, but when I think of these pieces are dying, there's also unhealthy feminine aspects that we need to see that, you know, all sides have darkness and need to change, but is it going to be like a matriarch passing, like an important older woman passing? Like, oh gosh, who would that be? And
Yeah, no.
damn, that'll be sad. Hmm. Okay,
You,
so starts off great, guys. Enjoy it. Gets a
yeah,
little dark.
it's different things happening at once.
Yeah. I love it though. Can you pull us a couple cards to start off April?
April. So April will have the outsider and the awareness.
Oh,
We're starting to see.
okay. That feels aligned with the intensity that we're going to maybe experience in March.
Yeah.
Um, like coming through the other side of some of that, the other side of the veil, once we get the clarity and awareness, like as we're talking about, coming to find more truth. Um, but the outsider, interesting.
And then woman dealings with of relationship with a woman and ram, stubborn, aggressive.
And so we have obviously Aries energy is the ram, and
Yeah,
we were talking about the feminine energy that needs to rise to actually
yeah.
help heal the planet because the earth is a feminine embodiment of life and giving of life. And so we need to recognize it's another being, feminine
That's
based.
the outsider, right? Coming in and
Mm,
out.
she's one powerhouse of a
It
being.
just seems like there's a powerful female
Yeah.
figure coming somehow.
Ooh, maybe it's an alien.
Ah,
Or maybe it's someone from the future. Oh, or someone from the past. I don't know. Wouldn't that be cool if like all of a sudden we got a time traveler?
oh, did you see there was this news of people finding how to time tra not time travel, trans how do you call it when you go to another place?
Oh, like kind of astral projection, like astral
Yeah,
travel?
well, physically you transport yourself somewhere else.
Really?
Yes, but they say it's so slow that it wouldn't really help.
Yeah, like I know they know how to do it, but they can't do it with a living being yet
I
because
saw
the
that on
atoms.
the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Atoms can't form fast enough. Like they can dissolve them, but they can't bring them back together fast enough. So the being usually dies.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean we're not going to get faster.
now things are going to change and technologies are changing and making so many progresses.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this was full.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, thank you, everyone. I know we've had kind of a bit of an extended time today, but there was definitely lots to reflect on and move forward into because it's a
There's a lot going on in March.
yeah, and there's a
Hold
lot.
on to your seatbelts.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like, do we need seatbelts or what's like another metaphor? Like maybe we need to make sure our parachutes are ready or something, just so that we can, not that we have to
Yeah,
jump.
staying still. That's our parachute.
Mm, like the mountain. There's like
Yeah.
a mountain meditation where the mountain stays still and it weathers
Mm.
everything as it's there in its stillness and it can weather
Mhm.
it all. So, yeah. Hmm. Well, thank you, everyone. Uh,
Thank you.
we will see you again in the astrological new year, and we'll do some more reflecting and moving forward together.
See you later. Bye.